Nathan Setlich, thank you for
thank
being
you,
with me.
George.
Appreciate it. He's the service desk manager here at ThrottleNet. My name's George Rosenthal. I'm the founder and one of the owners here. And of course, we're continuing our ThrottleNet web series. We will be taking questions at the end. So if you do have questions throughout, please put them in the chat and we'll be sure and answer them at the end. Without further ado, we want to keep the time going along. Let's go ahead and get started with Windows 11. So how is Windows 11 improving security? Is the first thing we're going to cover is security.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what everybody should be wondering about is security nowadays. So with the upgrades with Windows 11, we're looking at a lot of things that are coming new, I would say, into integration. One of them being you guys are going to be able to securely do your workstations with, fingerprint, face scan, everything along those lines, which kind of take away the password and stuff like that to allow you guys to personalize your security. So if someone gets a hold of your device and you're worried about it, if theft does happen, you're able to kind of knock that out of the park and it's personalized to you, kind of like your phone. So I think that's a great integration that they're bringing up, as well as ransomware protection. Microsoft Defender is increasing exponentially, so it kind of takes away the need for other antiviruses. So Microsoft Defender going up in production, as well as the AI that's included in the new Microsoft 11 Windows updates is going to be a crazy upgrade, I think.
That's exciting. Oh, it's very exciting.
It is exciting.
I'm excited. I'm a Mac user. I'm excited for the Windows users that get to finally use their fingerprint or some sort of different security than a password.
Yep.
And then we get into AI, of course.
Yep.
I mean, of course, the expectation now is AI should be involved, whether it's going to be perfect or the way we all dream about the future being, it's not going to be perfect. But what type of AI tools are involved now with Windows 11?
Yeah, so with Windows 11 comes new additions to Copilot. The craziest thing to me, George, honestly, is the amount of languages that it's going to support. 44 languages.
Wow.
So not only do you don't even have to speak English anymore. It can translate into English from 44 languages, as well as 12 different languages can even go into Chinese. So it can take English, it can take German, it can take a lot of the popular languages around the world and turn them into, let's say, a slide or screen, and it kind of just simplifies everything in a sense to where you no longer have to be an English-speaking person to be able to take advantage of Windows 11 updates. There's also live captions as well as voice access that kind of takes when you guys have meetings or anything along those lines. It is one of those things that you guys, I think a lot of people take for granted, including myself, that, to have the ability to outline a meeting from start to finish just within Windows 11 takes away a bunch of tools that you're needing outside when you're using Windows 10. It takes away download, storage space, everything along those lines that's built into Windows 11 at this point.
So really AI will be built into the operating system to the point where you're not having to type something. You can just ask AI to pull up an application and open up Microsoft Word.
Yeah, you can speak to your computer, you can type it in. There's buttons now that come along with it. It's just built in. So it's just a great integration.
I love it. I think it's great that we're finally getting to where AI is getting into everything that we're doing, especially at the core levels of the operating system, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Speaking of talking to the computer and using the operating system, what types of user interface changes are going to be involved? I mean, we're talking about layout. Is it navigation? Is it the ability to find applications?
Yeah, for sure. So I think everybody is kind of weary when it comes to switching what they're used to, including myself. So I like the way that things look. I like the way that things feel. This is kind of a cool thing. So Windows 11 is changing a bit. It is more polished, I would say. It would give so Georgia is a Mac user. I think it would give a more Mac OS look, but as well as it gives you the ability to kind of revert back to Windows 10, where Windows 11 may be more centered. You can move it back to the left. The search bar is still there, but you are getting more integration as far as task view. So task view allows you to have 6 windows open at once to see what you're working on. So it allows you multiple panes in order to see not only what you're working on, but how can you be more productive? Windows 10 kind of limits you in that sense to where you're, clicking on a bunch of downloads or applications and having to open them in individual windows. Whereas in Windows 11, you could work on 6 things at once in a windowed pane.
That's really nice. That's pretty sweet. So really, I mean, when somebody installs Windows 11, the difference of what they're used to is not that much, but meaning you don't have to relearn the operating system all over again, but you're allowed to customize a great deal of it.
And I think that's even more customizable.
Yeah,
and I think that's the benefit of it.
That's really nice to make it your own. That's what's really
Exactly.
and how you work on a daily basis, not just how everybody or Microsoft thinks you should be working on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So let's talk about performance, obviously, and stability. This is core of things not locking up, making sure things don't break. How is the performance in being a little bit different or improved over Windows 10?
Yeah, so faster wait times from powering it on and off. I think that's a huge one. A lot of people that I've dealt with in the past and probably in the future that don't do this update will experience issues when it comes to how fast your computer boots, as well as Windows 10 takes a lot of your CPU usage. A lot of people don't understand how much that can affect productivity. Going to Windows 11, you actually get more productivity just because it runs better on your system. Your system's made to run this newer operating system. So it's definitely something that I do recommend looking into, as well as reduce background activity. So when you're not working on something, it lets you kind of reduce that and lets you focus on what you actually need to be doing at that moment.
That's pretty great. Yeah, that's really neat. The of course now when you get into the business world and you have 10, 50, 100 plus employees, you're talking about deployment. We're talking about hardware support. It becomes a big issue for a company to have to migrate 100 computers over to Windows 11. So how has Microsoft really enhanced the upgrading capabilities?
Yeah, so within Microsoft Endpoint Manager, it makes it really easy. You can deploy to multiple machines at once. It's really cool in that sense, as well as autopilot. So you can just run this, let it run, come back, at a certain time. Do this when you have some downtime, come back, and it's ready to roll. You're just signing back in like you normally would. You just have a new layout, you have your new settings, and it's customizable like we said before. So it's very easy to roll this out. There's multiple options in order to roll it out. So I think they've made it a very easy transition.
That's great. I mean, well, the other thing too, I guess, is you should not be rolling this out necessarily by yourself. You should not be doing that if you don't know what you're doing. You also want to make sure you have backups. I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely.
In case something does go wrong. But the next segment of the webinar is really important, and it's why are we upgrading now? And in the past, you would have Windows 9, and you could still use Windows 8 for a long time.
Yep.
And the reason, now you can still use the operating system. It's whether it's protected and whether it has security patches and updates.
Yep.
So why are we upgrading now? Meaning October, is it 14th?
It's the 14th.
So 14th is the day.
Yep.
And take it away.
Yeah,
why are we up? It's
I don't
different.
really want to call it a doomsday, but it is kind of in a sense.
Yeah.
This is the one where Windows is kind of being a stickler. They're changing their ways. The transition of it's a lot more abrupt. So after the 14th, you're no longer going to get security patches. You're not going to get updates for your applications on your machine. You are kind of leaving yourself open to vulnerability at that point. So in terms of how to upgrade, contact your managed service provider and make sure you have somebody there to walk you through it so you're not being on your own. You don't have to be on your own. This is one of those things where technology is a team effort. So you want to make sure that you're with someone knowledgeable and can walk you through this for sure. But the integration, you want to make sure that it gets done by the 14th. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's definitely different than they've approached it before.
Yes.
Where they would go on for months and months continuing to patch the previous version while you were waiting to get all the bugs and kinks out of the new one so you're not the guinea pig. Now everybody has to be the guinea pig.
Yep, everybody does. You're kind of caught off guard, but in a sense, they're doing it to keep your business safe. They're always looking for the latest vulnerabilities, and this kind of keeps you guys in line with security standards as well as industry
I agree,
standards.
and that's something that really is the most important part is the security aspects of this whole thing. It's great and all with the neat features and the AI and the user interface and the ability to use it very easily, but it doesn't matter if it gets hacked.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter if you get malware. It doesn't matter if you click on the wrong email or bring in the wrong device that's infected. Then the whole system's down anyway.
Yeah, and we talk about AI. We talk about new security integrations. Windows 10 does an okay job, but you're not getting all these benefits if you just stick around and kind of wait in the past. Is upgrading scary sometimes? For sure. I mean, change is one of those things that is difficult for a lot of people, but I think that seeing something that is, has so much new integration, something that builds on top of itself to lessen downtime. Windows 10 updates, or this is one thing I forgot to mention. Windows 10 updates take a long time. Windows 11 now has a way that builds on old updates to where it takes less time to update. So you're secure for shorter periods of time that you can literally go back and just you're secure faster.
That's really great. And then let's touch on real quick the hardware capabilities.
Yeah.
So if you have an older laptop, older workstation, you definitely want to check to make
Yes.
sure that your machine can absolutely run Windows 11 because
Yes.
it does take a little more capabilities.
Yeah, we're looking at TPM 2.0. I believe machines that needs to be within a 5-year period. So if your machine is older than 5 years, I would look at possibly talking to your managed service provider and seeing if you guys could get an upgrade or a possible new machine. It is one of those things. It is a cost in the short term, but in the long term, the more secure you are, the better. So you're leaving your company, organization, whichever it is, up to a vulnerability when in reality a short-term loss equals a long-term gain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, if it doesn't, you could have all the bells and whistles, but one wrong click and your whole system's down.
Exactly.
So what's the
You're
difference?
done.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So you make sure that you're upgrading because come October 15th, there are, I know before, once that 15th hits, there are no more updates for 10. So that's it.
Yeah, definitely talk to somebody about a possible upgrade if need be.
Yes, yep. I mean, it's different if you're running something at home and it's a personal computer, but when it's your business and you've got, many people running Windows, it's very important that when the 15th happens, you better have everything done.
Yeah, your business is your baby.
Yep.
So it should be treated as such. I think, you would want your baby to have, you want your kids to go to the best school. You would want your kids to have the best education. I think in terms of Windows 11, you would want it to have the best hardware. So that's definitely something to be wary of.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to, let's say you had 100 computers to upgrade, you can do it over a little bit of time. But you still need to put Windows 11 on those systems.
You need to put it on the docket.
If you weren't planning or budgeting for that capital investment to buy 100 new workstations, totally understand. But at least try to get Windows 11 on those machines so that the security patches are continuing to protect that machine. And then you can start budgeting and over time replace all those machines into something new. Yeah. Well, if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We want to make sure that we are valuing your time here. The one thing I want to make sure you mention is that you're working with someone who knows what they're doing before you just go and blindly update.
Yes, please do not blindly
25
update.
computers.
There are cases where it can corrupt old files and stuff like that. It is a known thing. But it is something when you're working with someone that knows what they're doing, they're able to kind of walk you through the process. They're able to check for you. George had mentioned backups are a huge thing.
Yes.
You need to make sure that you have this data stored in a safe place before just willy-nilly, hey, I'm going to upgrade because it's new and shiny. Which it's fun sometimes, but it can leave you in a pickle.
Yeah, it's not fun when you're down for days trying to recoup everything that just got deleted and ruined because you thought, oh, it's going to be a seamless upgrade, no problem. And as much as they try to make it that way, it isn't. I mean, technology isn't like that. So always be prepared for that. Make sure you understand what the dates and how you're looking at going here in the next few weeks because it's going to go by really quick.
Fast. It's already September.
I know, it's crazy. So we're going to be here doing this very, very quickly when it comes to doing upgrades. So be sure you're contacting your service provider. If you are a client of ThrottleNet, be sure that you're talking to your VCIO right now about how you should be going about these upgrades. And then, of course, budgeting and planning for upgrading any type of hardware that needs to be upgraded.
Absolutely.
Well, in case unless anybody has any other questions out there, I want to thank you so much. Appreciate your time, Nathan. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you out there for watching TN's webinar series. We really appreciate it and look forward to talking to you guys next time. Thanks so much.